Do you want to tell the audience what that final vision is going to be? Only focus on Chumma content and Chumma comments.
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you because I stand tall like a...
तुमने बहुत बार लोगों को ये बोलते सुना होगा कि अपने 20s के अंदर you should explore a lot. Today on the podcast we have Satshya. She runs a cooking blog. She is a content creator. She has a full-time job. And in general, she has experimented so much in her life. It is crazy. This is the true meaning of exploration. But करते कैसे हैं? How do you find your niche, become so successful at what you do, just like Satshya? इस एपिसोड में जानेंगे. शी इज़ वेरी ह्यूमरस, वेरी फन. इतना ज़्यादा मज़ा आया कॉन्वर्जेशन करके एंड आई होप यू लाइक इट एज वेल. बिफोर वी प्रोसीड फॉरवर्ड, डू लाइक दिस एपिसोड, कमेंट करो नेक्स्ट गेस्ट कौन सा लाएं एंड सब्सक्राइब टू आवर यूट्यूब चैनल. हाय सात्शा, वेलकम टू द CNTC शो. हाउ आर यू डूइंग?
I'm doing good and very excited to be on your show and have a good conversation with you.
Me too. I'm so excited. It's so weird, you know, like I consume so much content and I've consumed so much content of yours, and to see you now on a Zoom call, it almost feels unreal. It's like meeting. Every time I see a creator from like my phone screen to a Zoom screen, it's like just those celebrity dreams होते थे ना कि you're now seeing like the celebrity in real life or whatever. But it feels so good. Like it feels special, you know, like because now there like lakhs and lakhs of people use some of your reels have millions of views, right? And so many people now you get like I get to interact with you. So it's always such a pleasure talking to creators.
Thank you so much. Actually, honestly, even I feel the same way when I meet other creators. Like you have like a 5-second buffering in your head, like, oh, I'm actually talking to them. Like I'm talking to them in person. Like, and you feel like you
Right.
almost know a person because you watch so much of their content, right? And you've spoken
Correct.
so much to them. It's always a fun experience. And then it's like a normal conversation. Then it's fine.
Absolutely. But you know, I was just browsing through your content again. I was like, थोड़ा research करके जाते हैं podcast पे, although I know her content. And oh my God. So cooking, you have a cooking blog. I saw you're a journalist as well. You do you're multilingual. You so many languages you know and so many content you create around it. I also saw this really cool thing called some rap, right? I'm forgetting the name. You did this
News
series
rap.
on your YouTube, right? Yes, news rap.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it had like some of them were so poetic. So it was poetry, social commentary, finance, so many different kinds of topics. Who are you? Like, please give me like an introduction. What so many things you do.
I think that speaks for itself. I like to describe myself as someone who likes trying something new every single day.
Okay.
And if I get an idea, I'm just like, okay, let's try it. Why not? And the cooking, I think, is born out of like curiosity and just a
Right.
passion for food and how food interacts with different ingredients and the history and culture behind it. But the other things like the multilingual part of it or the different kinds of videos is just from an idea of, okay, I got an idea, I'm going to test it out and see what happens. And some of them work, some of them don't. So it's all a process of just trying, like, you know, they say throw things at the wall, see what sticks. It's always been a
Right.
process of
I've always seen people, including me, just talk about, hey, go experiment, hey, go explore. But I think this is what actual exploring looks like. So, okay, what are you doing? Is content the thing which you're now doing full time now? Or is there something else as well?
No, so I have a full-time job as well. I work at an edtech startup as a content strategist. And before that, I used to work as a journalist. I worked as a journalist for about 5 years and then switched fields. So it's very interesting to see the different worlds, you know, one in which you're kind of the center of the universe in terms of content creation, where all the focus is on you and all the onus is on you to deliver as well. And then the other place where you're part of a team, you're contributing to a larger cause, you have to work with multiple people. It's really nice to have, in a way, the best of both worlds in that sense.
And you love experimenting with your hair. I think I love the current color. I think you did like purplish on the outside. And is this also part of like, let's experiment with life in
this
general?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing with hair is, I know a lot of people are very like scared to experiment with hair and they're like, oh no, what will happen? The thing about hair, unlike a lot of other things in life, is it grows back. Like no matter what you do to it, most of what you do to it, it will grow back. You can cut it, color it, straighten it, do whatever you want. So if you have something like that, why not experiment with it? And this actually, what you see right now is not even the final vision I had in mind. I'm going to
Okay.
color it this weekend, and I have an idea in my head of what I want it to look like, but I'm hoping that since I'm doing it at home by myself, that it actually turns out the way I want it to. But even if it doesn't, it's fine.
Do,
It's going
do
to
you
be
want to
fun.
tell the audience what that final vision is going to be?
Okay.
Or is it like
So
a
I was
okay?
imagining an inverted heart of the flame. You know how the heart of a flame is always blue and then
Mhm.
it's yellow and then the outermost tip is orange. So I
Right.
wanted it to be the other way, where I wanted the outside part to be deep blue and
Hmm.
these inside peekaboo bits or the underlights to be like bright
Okay.
orange. So that when I do like this, it looks like a flame but inverted. Does it make sense?
Holy shit, that's some crazy thought. In college, I remember talking to this friend once. I was like, yeah, let's do some color, and we were always together. Right? We used to spend like 4-5 hours together. I I thought I'd do red and he'd do blue, so that we look like a police car when we. So I'm guilty of thinking of like ideas like this, but this is
Love this
I'm
idea. Did
I'm
you
glad
actually
I'm
do
not
it?
the only one. What do you think? I am so I really want to insert that meme, right? Sabke nahi hote Lakshman. And when you said hair grows back, I have a receding hairline and I don't want to risk it. So the moment I'm like, should I experiment? And then I'm like,
No,
probably not.
just do like the tips. It should be fine. Just do like the top bits, and then
I
you
think
can go the whole
now
thing.
that I don't think if that friend would like say yes to this, because he has like a full blown corporate job, and so I think I should do like
Oh,
part blue and part orange like this, or part like red, something like that would work.
go for
You
it.
have a
I never
full
say
time
no to
job.
anyone's hair ideas. No, I was saying I never whenever tell me someone tells me about a hair color idea that they have, I never say no or I don't think that's gonna work because it's their hair, right? Let them do what they want, and ultimately they have to live with it and look at the mirror every single day. So it's their decision. Let them do what they want.
Fair enough, fair enough. You have a full time job. I want to know, and you've been creating content for some 4 or 5 years now. How do you get into content? Like, shuru kahan se hua tha? What was the start?
So I've been kind of creating videos, even like the news wrap thing. I was doing it when I was working as a journalist, and
Right.
like the news is very sort of black and white and like very serious. And I found a lot of people my age not interacting with the news or not interested in knowing what's happening. And so I just it was my way of saying, guys, like the news is interesting if it is made interesting. So that was my pitch when I started doing news wrap, which is basically taking like a roundup of the week events and putting it in the form of a poem. I know I said it was a rap, but I can't rap. So it was like a poem, which I would say very fast.
Okay.
So that's what I would do. So getting into content was simply like a way of exploring my creative side. I had an
Mm-hmm.
idea which I felt like, okay, nobody else is doing this. And if is there a way that I can do it? And I really like making videos. So I was like, okay, why not? And honestly, Newstab didn't do really well in terms of
Mm-hmm.
numbers. I didn't go viral per se. Like I got some media coverage, but it didn't go into like millions and 10,000 views. And eventually I let go of that. But with Instagram, what happened is again the same thing. I had an idea and I was like, okay, let me try it. May work, may not work. And this time it did. And then because
Hmm.
Instagram was also pushing reels like crazy, right? It reached a wider audience. And with this time, at least, what I learned last time with Newswrap is I did the same format over and over again because I thought, okay, this works. So let me not just stray away from it. But with Reels, at least, I realized that if I keep doing the same thing, A, I'm going to get bored and stop doing it. And B, more importantly, my audience is going to be like, please, I'm done. Like it's so one dimensional. So with that, in mind, if you want to keep growing on, you want to keep experimenting with content, you just have to
Right.
have an idea and be like, okay, let's roll with it. Like some of the things that I just made, I had an idea, I thought it's like a time pass idea. Some of them have gone to be super popular and they're like IPs in themselves now on my page.
Okay.
And there are some which haven't worked. I've never done anything like that again because I've realized, okay, chalo, it worked in my head, it didn't work in real life. So
Right.
you just have to take a chance. Nobody's going to penalize you if it tanks. You're your own boss. So ultimately, you take the decision whether to go ahead and do something or not.
content is always a bet. I feel like it could work, it could not work, and you never know what could. Especially, okay, a question, this series that you have on your channel, which is hacks to learn this word or hacks to learn that word, or easy that you say, which has become like my favorite thing, which I just get to hear. And sometimes I watch a video and I'm not even interested in that topic because it's very different from the kind of content, but I still consume it because like I'm gonna wait for the easy that comes at the end. Was this like pre-planned? Was this like a strategy? How did this go?
So even when I started making the videos, I never ended it with easy. It just
Huh.
happened naturally in one video when I was saying it and I did easy. And I just left it in, and people seem to really like it. And they were like, oh, that's the best part of the video. So I was like, okay, let me listen to my audience. I mean, people seem to like it. And so
Hmm.
it also helps to have an ender when you don't always necessarily have a punchline to a
Hmm.
comedic reel. So it helps to have like a bookender to give a complete end to a video. So some people, like I know Zingy Zest, the food blogger, she does this. Every time she eats something, she ends it with like this. And like you said, right, I've watched all her videos, but every time I watch it, I just wait for her to do this because I don't
Oh,
know. I think you get used to it. Yeah, you get used to it and you're like, okay,
right.
nice. The food was nice. So the same with Easy. I did it once,
Hmm.
it worked, people liked it, and I kept doing it again. But the danger with that is once you set a pattern like that, and
Hmm.
once your audience gets used to it, when you want to try something different or have a different ender, it may or may not work. Like there are some videos which I have also do this thing where I end with a no, right?
Hmm.
So that's for reels where maybe someone is saying something offensive or you're disagreeing with someone, so you can't randomly enter the easy, right? It just doesn't fit, it doesn't make sense. So it takes a while to convince people like, okay
Hmm.
guys, there's something else also. I mean, I think in
Right.
my head this makes no sense. But there are still comments like, I was
Hmm.
waiting for the easy, you didn't
Oh,
say it.
damn.
Like,
Ah.
how? It doesn't make sense. Like you can't be talking about someone being super like racist or
Hmm.
so prejudiced and then end with like
Right.
an easy sense, right? So
Hmm.
it's a bit of a push and pull with your audience, but you have to take a call and be like, okay, I don't think this makes sense, guys, please understand. And yeah, it works sometimes, and then you get more bookenders that you can use.
I loved the recent four no's, like four people coming together.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I was like, what is this? It cracked me up so bad. I ended up watching that again and again for those four no's. Uh, really cool.
Yeah,
You're a
I think the
content.
reason why you said, sorry to
Sorry.
interrupt you, but the reason
Hmm.
I think why you said, and I've got this question a lot about it being a strategy, is because when you have an ending like that, people tend to stay for the entire video, like you mentioned, even if they're not interested in it. So your watch time goes up, the
Hmm.
interaction goes up. There's a moment where you and the audience say something together at the same time, the connection is built up. So in terms of strategy, that makes sense. But going into it, I didn't have a strategy, but now that I see it, I see that it works. And if there are other content creators like listening to this podcast or watching this,
Hmm.
try to think of a good way you can end your reels, because that really helps your content grow as well.
I think I'm going to include this in my content as well. This is my takeaway.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
always suggest this because it has very good recall value. I've always sort of tried to do this in the kind of content that we produce in the company. So there's this creator, one of my favorite creators. His name is Simon. He runs a channel called DSLR Guide, and he used to eat an apple, just bite an apple at the end of every video. Right, that became his hallmark. And I was like,
Right.
this is really cool, right? Everybody, whenever people think of him, they think of that one moment because the topic changes from one video to another, especially for a person who reviews things. So how do you
Mhm.
then build that brand where when people think of DSLR Guide, they think of this? So
Yeah.
I think the same thing applies to you, and I think it's genius. Just that never thought of putting it in my personal content, but after this conversation, I'm gonna do this for sure. I
You're
think
welcome.
that's my takeaway.
I'm going to wait to see what you're going to do.
I'm starting to think already. This is a bad habit that I have. I think in 40 different dimensions while talking, while doing some other task. But you told me that you are a content strategist, which honestly I wasn't aware before getting on this call. Um, you don't talk about it a lot, do you? On the Instagram page? No, right? What's the reason? Like, why not?
Because it's very different from what my content is. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
was someone who was a marketing coach or a digital strategist and helping people build their Instagram profiles, then I would talk about it. But here I don't see a relation or a way to talk about it. So I honestly don't. There's no other reason other than um, there is no space for it, honestly. And I like honestly keeping both of them separate because
Mm-hmm.
here it's like you can be like, but work, you're like, okay, setting in those deadlines, done.
Makes sense, makes sense. And but I'm definitely guessing that these two must help each other, because a content strategist and you being like a content creator, that must give you an edge.
Yeah, definitely. And even when it comes to content, I think a lot of people think it's a waste of time or it's like a vanity exercise. But honestly, you learn so much being a content creator because I don't think there are a lot of courses right now about digital marketing and stuff like that. And a lot of things you learn on the fly as you go. And I'm sure you would have experienced it as well, right? So all the experience I've had with creating content, what content works, what say timing, hashtags, all of that. It's all experiential learning that you can take in and put in a role to help another company grow or help them achieve a vision, which is great. And the learnings that you get from this company where it's very structured, right? You have certain deadlines you need to meet. That kind of discipline bleeds into your content creation as well. So having both of them, I think having a job and doing content creation really help each other a lot, unless it comes to a point where the projects that you have, there are too many and it's so many deadlines and you can't handle both and give your best to both. That's when I think that probably you should go and do content creation full time. But if you're a college student just out of college and you're just exploring content creation, I would definitely say do both, like do both on the side. Because content creation also is very if you're looking to make money out of it and you're looking to make a living out of it, it's very unpredictable. Some months you'll get a lot of work, some months you won't. Sometimes your audience will love your content, sometimes they'll hate it. So it's very up and down. And it's good and it's nice to have another place, like a stable job where
Mm-hmm.
you know for certain what you're doing, and you work with a team where you have like shared goals and expectations. So it's nice. Like I like that. I like that experience. I like that part of my world, and I enjoy content creation also. And I think having a real life job also keeps you very grounded. Otherwise, it's very easy to get like, "Ah, I'm the queen of the world" when you're doing content.
I I can't say, like, I can't express how aligned I am to this what you said. I also feel that being in the corporate world, no matter how much you hate it, it teaches you certain business etiquette that really helps, especially when you're doing any form of commercial work with your clients. And
Yeah.
you just approach content creation in a much more organized way, which not a lot of creators do. While creativity sits at the core of creating content, if you have that etiquette around it, that discipline around it of showing up every day to work, I think that really helps, and building that habit in the long term, because I see content as a business. Like, I see you running a business and doing a job, rather than you being a content creator and doing a job. And when you see it like a business, suddenly there's a lot more discipline that's required. And
Yeah.
just talking of discipline and being consistent, I see that you are really consistent. I couldn't have possibly imagined that you have a full-time job. How is this? हो कैसे रहा ये? How is this happening?
It's all planning and being organized. Just I
Wow.
mean, I
Okay.
give myself a goal that I want to try to put one video out every single day. And I know that it's not possible to film every single day. Sometimes you have a meeting or whatever, multiple things. Whenever I get an idea, I write the idea down on my phone, until I rewrite the script until I have like a fully formed idea. And then when I have over 3 or 4, I try to shoot all of them at one shot so that I have like these bank of 4 videos that I can release over the week. Sometimes it's also good to have this bank of videos because you're not active all the day. I mean, every single day. You're not in the mood to like be in front of a camera and film. It doesn't
Right.
happen every single day. So it's good to have that as a backup for days when you don't really feel like filming, or maybe you're outside or something's come up. So that's the way to make sure that you are staying consistent and you are giving value to your audience every single day, when you've told them that, okay, I'm going to post videos every single day. So you have something. Otherwise, then, it starts building up in your head that, oh, I don't have a video. I
Right.
haven't posted anything in 2 days. And then out of that pressure, you'll post some rubbish. I don't know about other people, but me, when I do that, like when I feel like I have to post, then I post something that later when I look at, I'm like, why did I post that? So I don't like that. Like when I look at
Right.
my content, I look at it as my body of work. So I
Hmm.
want to give it my 100%. I want to do the best that I can. And there are times where I filmed an entire reel, I've edited it, but when I look back at it, I'm like, something's not right. And so then I don't release it, or I redo it. So when you have that kind of approach, and when you see your content as a reflection of your, like almost like a portfolio, that's when brands also, if they want to work with you, they'll see the kind of things that you're doing and then be able to bounce off of that and say like, hey, this IP that you have, maybe for example the annoying kid series that you do, could you do something like that for our brand? So
Right.
that's when you feel really happy as a creator that, okay, this is something I've created by myself and it's recognized as something of value, and they want to put their or integrate their product into that. That's a great feeling. Yeah.
That's really cool. And you said that you don't want to release content that because it's your body of work. Where do you sit on the quality versus quantity debate? Like, what do you think is important?
I definitely think quality is more important because everybody's giving quantity at this point of time. There are more and more creators. Even people who aren't creators are still creating reels and stuff like that, right? So if you want to make a mark for yourself and you want to set yourself apart, if you're doing what everybody else is doing, how are you achieving anything? How are you creating your own identity? So if one is able to take the time to really figure out what sort of content you want to put out, what kind of look you wanted to have, what kind of thought you want to give to the audience, what kind of message you want to put it across, that's when you really start forming a very unique body of work. Um, it is important to be consistent to grow on the platform. Like if you post every single day, you will see steady growth. If you post like for 3 days and you disappear for 2 weeks, your reach will go down, people will unfollow you. I mean, that's the way the system works. So you have to do little prior planning in advance and figure out that, okay, I need to put out 6 videos a week. Let me figure out what
Right.
ideas I have. And it forces you also to think, because then you're not complacent, right? And you're not like sleeping and be like, I'll
आराम
think
से हो
about something
जाएगा, देखा
tomorrow.
जाएगा.
Yeah, because I've seen in the past where suppose I've gone on vacation and gone off for 1 week, then your reach drops, everything drops, and it's so hard to get it back again. So once you experience that, you're like, let me plan in advance. So I'm going on vacation. It's soon, so I already know
Okay.
what I want to create, what I want to put, when I want to put it out. Like I have all of that planned out. And like you had
Right.
said about the professional bit, right? Even when it comes to working with brands as a creator, if you worked in a professional work environment, you take that
Hmm.
same integrity and ethic into working with a brand, because then when they say the deadline is this, you meet that deadline. Like you can't be like, oh, sorry, I forgot about it. Right? Like that doesn't work. You're working with another company, and there are so
Right.
many people involved in that. So yeah, it's good to have a job. Guys, content is not everything. And it also makes
Oh
you
my God.
appreciate the
Yeah.
content creation world, because when you've spent like 12 hours a day answering to someone else, it feels nice to have your own space to be like, okay, I'm going to do it. I don't need anyone's approval to do it. So that's nice.
That is very cool. I've been very curious. How do you know so many languages? How? And more than how, what triggered it? I can't remember the name of the person that I met yesterday. And you know languages, plus then you relate like different words. Acha, this word is this and this word is this, and then make a joke also out of it. What is happening here? I'm just
So
okay.
the,
Yeah.
the languages, the languages, I'm a Malayali, but I grew up in Karnataka. So that's Malayalam and Kannada. And then my grandparents had moved to Tamil Nadu. So and my dad grew up there. So we used to go there for every summer vacation. So that's Tamil. And then Hindi, we all had to learn it in school. And I lived in Delhi for 5 years. And then, yeah, I think that's about it. Telugu, I'm now learning because of the page, because people are like, hey, can you do Telugu videos? I'm like, okay, I'll learn it and I'll do, and I don't mind, because learning a language can never be a disadvantage to anyone, right? Wherever you go, it's going to help you out, and also helps build relationships and bonds with people you don't even know. Like, I'm sure if you ever go abroad and you hear someone speaking the same language and you're like,
It's
hello,
like,
fellow
yes,
person,
feels so good,
my
like,
dad.
my man, like my man
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
It's very cool.
So that's how. And the thing with knowing multiple languages is you don't know all of them at the same level of fluency, right? You're kind of better at one language and not so at the other. So you have to make these relationships in your mind of how to remember certain words. Like, for example, in Tamil, um, toad is earring. So I used to just, and it sounds like toad. So I used to always imagine a earring that looked like a frog, and that's how I remembered like toad. And like genie is sugar in Tamil. So I
Okay.
used to just imagine, okay, when you put something sugar in something, it becomes magical. That's why genie is sugar. So
Ooh,
you just have to build relationships like that in your mind, and you can learn a language faster.
that's so cool. Now I'm always gonna remember that Toad is airing in which language?
Tamil.
Tamil. And genie is sugar in.
Yeah, Tamil.
ये मैं भूल ही नहीं सकता. This is so freaking cool. Wow, I'm gonna. सही है. I read this somewhere, and it may just be that one of those Instagram facts which is not true at all. But here it goes, that you can only feel certain emotions and feelings in certain languages. And I personally feel validated because I like some emotions I only feel like expressing when I'm talking in English. So I can speak English and Hindi. And some emotions I can only truly feel when I talk in Hindi. Does it happen to you a lot? And does it just help build empathy because now you know like so many languages?
Yeah, and in terms of emotion, also, there are, I'm sure even you can't explain the meaning of a Hindi phrase, right? Like, I remember when people would say, like, Nani ki yaad aayegi. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Why will my nanny remember it? Or like when someone says bhans ki aankh, and I'm like, why? So you don't get it, but
Right.
um, it's fun explaining these things. And it also, there are certain words which evoke emotions, like when someone says beta, right? Someone you don't even know, but suddenly when they say beta, you feel that, oh, that, oh, feels
Yeah,
like I'm a son. So similarly,
correct.
even in Malayalam, there are certain words which are very difficult to translate in English, but when someone says it, you automatically feel like nice and warm, and you're like, oh, okay, yes, totally, I feel it, I relate. So it's a nice, it's nice that we have so many languages in India, especially, and also that they sound similar in certain regions. So even if you know Hindi and you go across, like, say, Bihar and other North Indian states where it's at least sounds similar, then you can somehow make conversation with people and get along.
Fair point. It's quite interesting. I see. I'm going to name this podcast Chumma Podcast, but how is
Chumma
this
conversations.
Chumma Conversations is your podcast, na? So I'm gonna name this
Yeah.
Chumma Podcast so that
Uh,
no copyright infringement intended. But where
yeah.
does this word come from, right? Like you use it in food, so Chumma food and Chumma Conversations. Is there a story behind this you using this word?
No, Chumma in Malayalam means simply. I know in Hindi it means kiss, which
Yeah.
unfortunately I came to know later after using it so many times in office. I'll be like, oh no,
Okay.
what did I just say? Uh, but again, it happened very randomly in conversation where I was trying
Right.
to make some dish. I remember I was on a spree of healthy eating, and I used to post pictures of the completed dish, like salad and chicken and all of that. So people were like, "How do you have the time? It looks so complicated. Cooking is so difficult." And I was like, "No, like it's so easy. I'll show you how to do it." So I would do this thing where I would show step by step on my Instagram stories of how to prepare a dish. And I was like, it's so easy, Chumma, you can easily make it. And then I was like, okay, there's a C and a C. I love alliterations. So like Chumma cooking. And Yeah, and then again, like
Nice.
people were like, "Oh, nice." I was like, "Okay, fine, I will go ahead with it."
Ooh, CC's Chumma conversations also. Holy shit, I
Mm.
just realized it.
Yeah.
That is damn cool. Is it the first time this must be like planned, no? This was not by chance ki CC aa gaya. This is planned.
This is planned because I considered Chumma talks. I was like, che che, no. Then I was like Chumma chatting. I was like, no, that sounds weird. And then I was like Chumma conversations. Oh, okay, cool. The only problem is like the email ID is super long. Chumma conversations podcast at gmail.com. Otherwise, it's fine.
You should just cc.com would be damn expensive. You won't get it. Yeah.
Don't worry,
Like,
it's okay.
no, that's fair. What's why are we doing it? Like, what's the why? You experiment so much, even with your content. I would, and we'll talk about you finding a niche, but what drives you? Like, what makes you wake up every day, do your job, do content creation, and just experiment so much?
I think it's a quest of seeing what you can do. I think when you internally believe that you can do anything you put your mind to, then you want to see how it pans out. I've never had an idea where I'm like, oh no, it's too difficult. I'm not going to do it at all. Like I always want to try it for myself and see, and then take a call and be like, okay, it was not, okay, it was too difficult. So, what drives me every day is, I guess, I really enjoy it. I think that's the simplest answer. I like the process of thinking of an idea, working it out, see how what works better, filming it, editing it, trashing it, starting all over again. And I think with the thing about social media is you get immediate feedback, right? Which you don't in other traditional forms of media. Like if you do a TV show that's not on an OTT platform, you don't know what people are feeling about it. You only get the bark ratings that says XYZ million people watched it this week, but you don't know what they liked, what they didn't like, what makes their day, what is that one thing that makes them watch that show over and over again. So
Right.
with a platform like Instagram where people can immediately tell you whether they liked it, they didn't like it. I think that's what I like the most, that audience interaction. And especially when someone says, oh, this reminded me of my family member, or this reminded me of my friend, or this, at least in cases where I use like South Indian words and like certain terms, right? And someone's like, I haven't heard this term in so long. And it's so nice to hear it from someone on social media. Those are moments that I really, really enjoy because I feel like I'm forming these connections with so many people that I otherwise wouldn't have had the chance to meet or interact with. So at the end of the day, it's all like a personal challenge of how far can you go? What else can you do? What I don't know, like what can you do? And what works, what doesn't work. If ultimately your motivation comes from within, then you want to keep trying new things. If there's someone standing behind you saying make 100 videos for 3 months and do it, you will not enjoy it. Like, and it'll clearly be seen in your work also. Your audience also will know that you're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Wow. That's it's really cool, yeah. It I would love to understand now that you have done content creation for so long, and I'm glad to just hear that the motivation is very intrinsic in nature. If you see a new content creator, if you meet a new content creator, fairly young, like 17, 18, what are like three, four things that you would tell them, not just about like Instagram growth, but content creation in general, like how it pans out and takes a toll on your personal and professional life?
I would say be mindful of the platform you're posting on, be mindful of the content you're putting out there, because what you put out on the internet stays there forever. And something you might say at 17 isn't not necessarily something you might believe in when you're 27. And you might have changed as a person, but people won't take that into consideration. I am so glad I wasn't a content creator when I was in my teens or in college because I was really dumb and I said a lot of dumb things. And that's why my Facebook page is not active anymore because I did a lot of dumb things. Um, and so I really feel for these creators who are like 18, 19, just starting, having all this expectation along with popularity. There's a lot of expectation and pressure. And also, that's a time when you're very conscious about the way you look, and you're still trying to figure out who you are as a person. So when you have like 50 people telling you you look ugly or you're boring or you're this, it can really take a hit on you. Whereas now for me, when someone says that, I'm at an age where I know that's not true. And if they say you're ugly, I'm like, okay, but I don't think so. It doesn't matter to me. But if I was in
Right.
college, I'd be like super upset and be like, oh, this person sitting in Delhi, some whose username is 123, troll, thinks I'm ugly. Oh no. And I'm saying I would definitely would have done that. It would have affect like
Right.
if someone in college said that to me, I would be upset for days, right? And when you have all these voices being amplified and you can see it happening all over and over again on your own page, it's going to be very difficult. So um, I'd say, think about what you're putting out there, what kind of uh, information, or what kind of, even in terms of what kind of content you're putting out there. Does it really add value? Is it something you, for example, like this is a touchstone that I keep for myself. Like what I'm putting out there, would I want my like 13, 14-year-old niece to watch? Um, and if it's not, then I don't put it out, because I know that although Instagram says that what they're 14 and above, I know a lot of my audience is really young. So I don't want to be talking about things that I wouldn't want to say to my niece, even if I'm talking to her in person, like things that I wouldn't say to her in person, I don't want to put on the internet. And when you have a platform and you have so many people watching you, all the more become more conscious about, okay, what am I putting out there? And even when it comes to responding to hate comments or hate DMs, when I just started content creation, I would reply like this. Like if someone said something, I would give it back. And then I realized that people don't know your tone, people don't know your intention. And even if you would have vented at that moment, at the end of the day, you look like an asshole on the internet, because you're this person with a platform who's talking back to this person who's just said something that they disagreed with you. So now I've toned down. If someone really irritates me, then I just block them, or I just like keep swiping and forget about it, because it's the internet. People can say what they want. It's only if it's very demeaning that I block them or delete them, or sometimes I just reply with a excuse me, and then it's someone who responds like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it that way, and you realize probably it's a misunderstanding. So for young content creators, just be aware of the space, because a lot of times you can feel like you're speaking into a vacuum, but you're not. It's going to be there. So be careful of what you're putting out there. I mean, I'm sure you've interacted with young creators, right? Who come from different parts of India, and some who are like super popular, or they're 18, 19. And you see some of their comments, it is so, I mean, I feel angry on their behalf,
Yeah.
like these young girls and people are commenting things like cleavage, smiley eyes. And I'm like, yuck, dude, she's like 18, man. You can't be talking about her like that. And so, yeah, I don't know how they do it. Like, hats off to them. I wouldn't have been able to.
I mean, people on the internet feel that there's like a curtain and they can say whatever they want to, and nobody will get to know who's behind that curtain, because it's easier to hide and it's easier to, like, although for creators, how the democracy happens, like these creator platform democratized like filmmaking or expression. Similarly, it also democratized opinions, right? Anybody can come in, and it's just sad that sometimes even people who would be it's very sad that I know a couple of people who I'm not friends with now, who
Mhm.
I looked at some of the comments and interaction that they used to do on somebody else's post, and they weren't kind at all,
Mm.
and they just feel because it's the internet they can say whatever they want to, because so it's just sad, because yeah. So
Yeah,
anyway.
and I think even you would have noticed if sometimes you see your friends on Twitter, or earlier when I would see my friends on Facebook commenting on other people's posts, and when things get really nasty, and you get confused because you're like, this person, I thought they were normal and they're okay, but they're having this very heated argument with this
Yeah.
person over nothing. Like you don't even know who the other person is. How does it matter that their opinion differs from yours? They're not a lawmaker who's going to do something that will affect your life. But this whole thing about I need to be right, or where everyone's just trying to feed their own ego, is when you take a step back and you're like, okay, hmm. Yeah.
Fair point. Let's move on to the next segment. It's one of my favorite segments because who doesn't love rapid fire? And
Oh no.
quick questions. And this is going to be like, I'm very, very serious about rapid fire. Okay. Like if no answer in 2 seconds, it's 1 point gone. I don't know what's the repercussion, but it's something. So
Okay.
super
What is
serious,
the
super quick.
prize? What is
It
the prize of getting points?
prizes oh man, it's the first time somebody's asking me if there's a prize.
Competitive person here.
Prizes me have you seen Suits?
Yeah, first season. Not
Do you
much.
remember there's this thing in Suits where like I owe you, like there's a chip, like I give you a chip and then you use it once you have some. It's this very, very Suits thing. I think I should not put it
I was
because I
gonna
was
say, I was gonna say, why don't you just get one streak red on your hair or one streak
oh.
blue? I think blue would be better. Blue would be cool. Red is
I
done now.
think we're gonna skip the rapid fire. Thank you so much, Satshya, for coming on the podcast. It's great having you.
Thank you. I had a great time. Cool.
But no,
Let's.
I think I'll think about it. I think that's the least I can do. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Sure.
We're gonna start off easy. Okay, favorite office character.
Michael Scott.
Name one creator that inspires you.
One creator who inspires me. I'm trying to buy time. Nirmal Pillai. He's very funny.
One that irritates you.
Man, I think it's
Come
these
on.
fan page edits of
Oh,
the Vicky Kaushal and Katrina Kaif wedding stuff. I think
oh
I'm
damn.
I'm just like over it now. I've seen it so many times. At first I was like, oh, now I'm like, okay, move on.
What's Satya's guilty pleasure?
Eating pizza and watching The Office.
That's not. It's so good. Like it's the best thing that you can do in the world. Why not
I don't feel
Friends in
guilty
my
about it at
office?
all.
Yeah, it's not something. And okay, why not Office Van and Friends?
Because I think this answer is going to be a little long and a little
Okay.
controversial, but I feel like I need to explain myself. I feel like Friends is funny, but it doesn't have the level of humor that The Office has. The Office is more subtle, it's based on real life. And you know, when they are outrightly being mean, that there is a sense of humor to it, right? Whereas Friends, it's a joke, it's funny, and there's this laugh track that's like, ha 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 ha. And you're like, when you think about it, you're like, okay, that joke wasn't that funny, but okay. So I like Friends. I can like casually watch it on TV while scrolling on my phone. But when I watch The Office, I can laugh out loud and be like, this is such a great show.
It is, especially there aren't any laugh tracks in Office. No, it's Friends is like full of it. I hate it. So I'm to gonna full on be very, very controversial and tell them ki nahi bhai nahi, Office is way, way, way better than Friends any day. You know,
Yeah,
in
they're two different genres. I mean, they're not even on the
I
same
think now
page.
you're being very diplomatic. You're like, हाँ ठीक है, no.
No, I mean, I've gotten used to being in the midst of so many of these. I've had people message me saying, you said Office is better than Friends. I'm going to unfollow you. I'm like, okay.
Damn, no, no.
Actions have consequences.
Don't do this. No, 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 no. I also like Friends. Friends is lovely. Best show. Okay. Thing that you don't really like about content creation.
That you have to constantly be on the internet and your eyes start hurting from using your phone too much.
And one thing that you absolutely love about your job.
About creating content, I love
No, no,
that I can
your
interact
full-time
with many
job.
people. Oh, my full-time job. So my full-time, okay. So the startup that I'm working with is working with teenagers, and we're looking to impart more civic education to them. It started by a former journalist, and we realized that the youth don't know a lot about civic education. There's not a lot of interest in it, and it's very important today. So I love that we can reach out to young people and give them this education and hopefully create more aware citizens. I love that.
3 favorite movies.
Movies, Threat Level Midnight, which is from The Office. The Notebook, I don't know, I really like that movie. And I think Mean Girls. It's a very fun movie.
And what's that one movie, TV show, book that changed your life? Apart from Office, of course.
That changed my life, I would say, is this show called I may kill you or I may hurt you, by which has Michaela Cole in it. I know I said it's something that changed my life, but I can't remember its name right now. But it's basically this story of this woman who has been sexually assaulted, but she doesn't remember anything of it, and how she tries to live her life after that. And I thought it was very, very interesting, and it just makes you look at you as a woman differently. It makes you look at work differently. It makes it look at life and the way people treat each other differently. Like, you look at life through her lens, and it's very interesting because it's one where you don't make excuses for people's behavior, but you see them for who they are and you accept it, though you may not like it, but you accept it. It's I May Hurt You. One sec, I really need to know what the show's name is. It is bothering me right now. But she
Yes.
got an Emmy for it. Michaela, sorry guys. I know this is rapid fire.
No
Making it
worries.
so-
I'm gonna
I may
chop this.
destroy you. I May Destroy You. That is the name of the show. I May Destroy You by Michaela Cole. Fantastic show.
I'm gonna watch this. This sounds very interesting. We've got to know so many great content suggestions because everybody comes and they tell me like that one show that or one movie that they really liked, and it's always we discover like, so I discovered Fleabag through the podcast, and
Oh,
it is
great
have
show.
you seen it?
Yeah, love it.
Yes, it's such a good show. Okay, moving on. One life mantra that you just keep like repeating to yourself. Okay, this. And
It's
which language is it in?
it's actually a verse from the Bible. It's something that says, with humility comes wisdom. And I have it on a little note that I keep next to my desk. And so anytime
Okay.
that I feel like my head is becoming a little to this, I look at it, I'm like, okay, with humility comes wisdom. So yeah, I try to live by that.
Fair point. Okay, last question. If you could change one thing in your life, content, whatever, just go back, like Back to the Future. Not Back to the Future, but like if you could travel back in time, change one thing, what would that one thing be?
I think I would stand up for myself a little bit more. I think when I was younger, I was more of a what's the word, doormat, and I think I let people mistreat me a lot. But now that I've grown up and I realize things, I don't do that anymore. So yeah, I wish there was someone who stood up for me back then.
It's really cool. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. I personally learned a lot, and I think my biggest takeaway is going to be, and the audience is also going to see, like something which I'm going to do at the end of every content piece. I think that's, I have definitely learned a lot. But in general, more than a consumer, I'm a fan of your content. Whatever you do, it always makes me smile. And I think that's the best thing that you can do with your content, right? I mean, of course, I'm all in for value and everything, but if you can make somebody smile while they're
Yeah.
scrolling, it's always good. Thank you so much for making us all smile and coming to this podcast. Such a lovely time talking to you.
Thank you so much. And since you had such a lovely time, that's actually the way a lot of my friends tease me, because Satshya sounds like Satcha. So I thought you were doing a play on that, like such a lovely
Oh
time.
shit. No, I wasn't, but that's very cool.
Thank you
See,
so
you are
much.
the
I had
more-
a great conversation as well.